got nervous. I always do this. Game face. Okay. Hey guys, welcome back to Conversations with E. Yeah, everyone's going to thanks guys. Yeah, my name is Esther and this is Conversations with E. If this is your first time here, welcome to the family. And if you're coming back, hey guys. Today we are filming our number 8? Yeah. Is it number 8? Yeah, we're filming our 8th episode. Well, thanks guys. And I've got a lovely guest on today. Do you want to introduce yourself, Astre? Oh, I just said her name.
Hi, I'm Astre. Welcome.
So yeah, this is Astre, guys. Do you want to tell us where you're from, what age you are, what you do? You can tell us anything about yourself, a random fact. I don't know.
Yeah, so my name is Astre. I studied Minute. I did finance. And yeah, I love to sing. I think my favorite sport is basketball. Yeah, and I love God. And
period.
Pretty
we don't play by God. Period.
Pretty much it, yeah. And I go to Divine Power Church. So
that's actually where we are today, guys. You know, Ashley, welcome me in our humble home. Yeah, we got the whole setup back here, or whatever. Maybe Ashley will sing a song for us at the end. Maybe. So today we're going to be talking about being pastors' kids, and I'm a pastor's kid. Astra is also a pastor's kid. And for some of you that don't know what a pastor is, because I know some of you guys who watch my channel have never been to church. You don't know, maybe all you know is priests, you know, the Pope, but we have pastors over here. And basically a pastor is a minister to a church or to like a congregation, a leader. Oh yeah, a pastor is basically like a leader of a congregation or a church. And they're allowed to get married, because I know for most people it's a shocker whenever people find out I'm a pastor's kid and they're like, your dad has kids. I'm like, yeah, he's not a priest. Like, but yeah, we're basically their kids. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So, Astre, what is it like being a pastor's kid for you?
Yeah, so for me, being a pastor's kid, I don't really focus really on the title. So I just know that, you know, my dad, like, I'm a believer in Christ, and you know, my dad also happens to be the pastor, the church that I pray to. So I treat my dad like whenever it's church related stuff. Yeah, I know, okay, there are certain limits because he's my pastor as well, and then obviously at home he's just my dad. So I don't really hold that title too much
of being a pastor's kid.
Yeah.
I think I'm kind of on the same boat as you, because I don't like go everywhere like announcing I'm a pastor's kid and stuff. More time people never know I'm a pastor's kid until I'm asked a question or it's just brought up. Like, oh yeah, she's a pastor's kid.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt like people treated you differently when you mentioned you were a pastor's kid? And by differently, I don't mean like they could have like acted like aggressive towards you or like, I don't know, like negative or something. But sometimes it's like when you're, because I know for me, if we'll be amongst a group of friends or people I've never met before, and the minute it's like, oh, she's a pastor's kid, and I get the eyes, people are like, oh, she's a pastor's kid. And I'm like, what does this mean? Like, everyone always does it. And I'm like, what actually happens when you find out I'm a pastor's kid? Like,
I think for me, well, not much really happens. If it does happen, maybe I'm just not aware. But I would just say it's just expectations. Then people kind of like, oh, you're a pastor's kid. But a lot of the times I found that there's some negative connotations with a pastor's kid. So they're like, oh, you're different from pastor's kid. Like, we expect you to actually be
like the usual stereotype of like the pastor's kid.
Just being like bad. And I'm just like, no, like, you know, or they're like, I don't know, like when they say, I think it's just expectations. Like, some people might be like, oh, you're a bit different, as in like, we expected you to be bad. And then other people, it's like completely opposite. It's like, oh, you're a pastor's kid, so like, you know, like we can see you now, like, so we expect you to be like great, because you know, you don't want to let your dad down or the church down or whatever. And I'm just like,
so from what it sounds like, it basically feels like people are the ones that kind of determine if you really don't was your pastor's kid. I don't know if that
Yeah.
makes sense, but it's like, because I get what you mean when you say you don't really like even go by the title of like I'm a pastor's kid.
Yeah.
It's mainly like how people view you and like how they treat you or the expectations, as you said. Because I know most people, when they know you're a pastor's kid, not just young people, but also like parents and stuff like that, they set expectations for you.
Definitely.
Like they expect you to be a certain way, behave a certain way, carry yourself a certain way, dress a certain way. Do you get what I mean? Have you felt like that from people, like let's just say from within your home of the church, like regardless of people outside of the church, first of all, because you spend most of your time here? Do you ever feel like expectations are mad high for you in here?
Yeah, a bit. Like I think maybe at the start I felt it a lot more. I think people were kind of saying like, oh, okay, because you're a pastor's kid, they was just basically saying like, you know, like our eyes are all on you,
Yeah.
and like obviously you're supposed to be like some like role model, you know, and they're like, oh, like sometimes parents look at you and they're like, oh, okay, you're supposed to be a role model for like our kids. So as in like if you are acting in a way obviously that doesn't give glory to God, like as a pastor's kid, you're kind of misleading like the other youths, because they'll follow you and they'll be like, oh, okay, well if the pastor's kid can do that, then sure, we can all do this. But sometimes that's the view that they give, whereas for me, I know like my identity is like I'm a child of God, like I'm so whatever I do or not do is based on like my faith. Like so.
But do you feel like that expectation of like you acting a certain way, and just like you said, they always say to you, oh yeah, they're looking up to you, but do you think those kids actually look up to you, or the parents instill it in them like, look at her, she's doing this, she's doing that? Because like, have you guys ever felt like that? Like you wouldn't actually be like, oh yeah, I'm looking at Astre, but like because it's like, tell her Astre, and then now you're like, oh my god, what's Astre doing? It kind of like, do you get what I mean? Because I don't think us as like young people, I don't look at other pastors' kids and I'm like, oh my god, what are they doing? This is that. But like when it's brought to my attention, because parents do tend to be like, oh, this is that, and then you're kind of like, oh, maybe because she's doing that, maybe I should do that as well.
Yeah.
Because I definitely feel like that's the thing. Like it's parents that like put that in the kids, and then they make you feel like because my kids are looking up to you, you now have to act this way, or else you're leading them like astray.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how can I solely be responsible for your kid going like off the rails? Because it is a lot of pressure. I'm not gonna sit here and like, I love my church family, totally and completely, but it is hard, especially growing up and being young. You make mistakes, and I hit a stage where I had such a fear of making a mistake just because I didn't know how I was going to be viewed. And I didn't want to be viewed as like, you've let the kids down, or like, you know what I mean? And I didn't want, most people, what they do is when you make mistakes, they like reflect that on your parents automatically to, oh, Papa still, they don't know how to raise their kids.
Yeah.
And I don't want people to view my parents like that. So like, even when I do make mistakes and stuff, I wouldn't even go to my parents, or like I would keep it to myself, or I try my best. Like if I make a mistake, no one will see I made a mistake. Just because like if they see it, I don't know what, like, do you get what I mean? You don't know the response.
Yeah.
But like we all need grace. Like we're all in need of grace, guys.
No, definitely. I think for me, it's just like, I guess it's all about an identity as well. Like how you, no matter what people say, I guess, about you, it depends on how you view yourself. Like for some people, being a pastor's kid, like they actually are so conscious of the title that it becomes a burden. But for me, it's like, okay, I get that I'm a pastor's kid.
It's just a part of you though.
Yeah.
It's not all of you.
Yeah. So I don't really identify myself as that, even if when people do kind of, I guess, project it on me, it's like, I don't really accept that. Or if they say, oh, like, even if they were to be like, oh yeah, you're such a great model, like you're a role model, I'm just like, yeah, no, thank you. Like,
I think that's like, the one that hits me the most. I'm always getting told, I always tell my little one to be like you. She look, and then at one stage, because the funniest thing was in church, I had a tomboy stage. I just stopped wearing dresses. I gave up. I didn't give up on makeup because I actually did wear makeup, but my outfits just got a bit, less girly. And all the girls in church just started dressing like me.
Oh, really?
But I didn't even realize that. I didn't realize it. And then all the mamas were like, "Oh, Esther, since you started dressing like this, all she wants to wear is this." And I'm like, I didn't know I had like that kind of, not power, but like I didn't realize people were looking at me like that. And then I realized when I switched up my dressing again, they all started dressing girly. And I was like, I just want to be me. Like, I just want to be me.
Yeah.
But it's like that role model thing. It's like they're looking up to you, and it's like I didn't ask for this.
I know, yeah. Because at the back of my mind, when they're like, oh, like you're, like if they view you in a positive way, like it's always a nice thing to hear.
Yeah.
But when they're like, oh, you're so like great or whatever, like in my mind, if a parent says that to me, I'm like, okay, she's saying this, but I know who, like,
yeah,
what I
you know
really
yourself.
am. So
yeah,
it's like, yeah, you know, thanks for the compliments.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what I try to do, I don't feed into that too much because like if you're really into like, oh, okay, this person said this person said that, so if it were to flip, you would feel really, really hurt because, you know, you put so much weight on what was said. So I just try to just like, I think it's just really about an identity, like how you view yourself and the fact that I just view myself, okay, I'm a Christian. You know, I'm a Christian, and the church that I go to, my dad also is a pastor. I just know, okay, he's my dad, but he's also a pastor, and I'm, you know, like in church, I just treat him as my pastor. Although sometimes it
gets confusing. I think growing up, it's not until you, well, depending on your faith as well, because everybody has their own journey of like actually understanding that, oh, God is my father. He's not just someone we just pray to. And I know we hear it a lot, like recognize that God is like, it's more personal, but it needs to be said more because most people actually don't get it. I personally didn't develop my relationship properly with God until 2018. And I've been a pastor's kid like my whole life, never missed church, you're there for every event. And it wasn't until 2018 I was like, I get it. Oh no, you're okay.
Sorry.
She was like, you're okay. But it wasn't until 2018 that I was like, I get it now. And it then made me view my dad as my actual spiritual leader. Because a lot of the time when I go to church, I'm like, that's just dad. And like, if he's preaching or if he does something, like, you know, like the minute we stepped in, now I have that thingy like, okay, he's here to spiritually feed people as well as myself. But whereas before it was just like, that's just dad. So it's even like differentiating like the different roles. It actually is hard to like do that. But when you get the hang of it, you do. Because then getting home as well, sometimes I'm like, because my dad has a bad habit. Like if you ask him for advice, he goes full on pastor. And I'm like, Dad, just be dad. And it's not his fault because he's so used to it. But like, it's just like, do you get what I mean? Sometimes even for them, it's kind of like here be dad and like there be pastor or whatever. But like, Yeah,
I think one thing you touched upon that I really liked, like it really depends on the person. Like if you are a pastor's kid, it depends on your faith. Like if you are really strong in your faith, then you will see like the fact that you are a pastor's kid, you'll see that as an asset, as a benefit, as something
growing up, definitely.
But if you view like the whole if you're not so strong in the faith, then it becomes hard.
It feels like a burden.
It's more so of a burden because the things that you would want to do obviously is not matching with, you know, like what the faith that like your dad who's the pastor is preaching of. So then it will be difficult for you because then you're just like, oh, like everybody's saying that because I'm a pastor's kid, automatically I'm a Christian. But like, for example, I don't even view myself as that. So then it becomes like a battle. Like it becomes like, okay, everything your dad's preaching or some of the stuff he's saying at least is not like, it kind of feels like it's kind of condemning your lifestyle if it doesn't fit to that. If you're really full on like in the faith, then you see it as an asset. Like,
1000%.
It depends.
1000%. And also, I wanted to touch off of understanding being a pastor's kid that serving doesn't just mean being up there with dad. Because I felt obliged a lot of the time. There was a stage where I just didn't want to sing anymore. But because everyone knew me, the pastor's kid, she has to do something in the church. Like I know for Grace, like I'm pretty sure Grace can like be a witness to this because it happened to her. Like it was like me and my brothers, we would play in church, and Grace would just she was just in the congregation. But to many people, it was like, why aren't you doing anything? Your brothers and sisters are doing this, that. And I'm like, you need to let her figure out what it is God is calling her to do. Because service isn't just singing.
Yeah.
It's not just getting a guitar. It's not just, oh, moderation. Like, service could be, I'm cleaning chairs.
Yeah.
Like, I'm cleaning the bathroom. Because that's what she used to do. She used to help out cleaning bathrooms and stuff like that after church. But no one saw that as like, this is her calling. Maybe in this moment, this is what she's meant to do. But it's like that burden. I remember she was like, oh, I don't really want to sing, but Esther, can you like teach me some songs? This is that. I'm like, I would always say no, because I could see she was forcing herself. And I'm like, I want you to understand that what you're doing is service to God. It doesn't mean that you're less than I am. Because the expectation of pastors' kids have to be right beside their father, right beside their mother, because it could be a mother that's a pastor as well, like right there on the podium, on the altar.
Yeah.
Like that kind of mentality needs to leave. Then eventually in her own time, she was like, no, I actually feel it in me that I want to sing. And I could see it. And I was like, of course, I'll help you.
Yeah.
But it's definitely that kind of like that burden on them, like you have to be up there. Because some pastors' kids, they're not called to do music. Some of them, they film in the church. Some of them, they do something. Sometimes they don't even work within the church, but it's outside of the church that it's their calling to do something.
Yeah.
But that pressure of like, this is all about people's expectations, I feel like. Because I don't feel like we place it on ourselves. I feel like it's what people say. And sometimes our parents are like, what is the church going to say? Do you get what? Like, even if they don't express it, it's like, oh, people might say this, that, if she's not doing anything, or I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get you. Like, it's kind of like the outside pressure. Then it impacts the family, because then obviously it's feeding thoughts into like the pastor himself.
Yeah.
Or, whether pastors and a man or woman, like it feeds into them, and then the kids feel the pressure as well. So I think it's also good, like, well, obviously things that help depends, for everyone, experience is different. So it could be like one of the differences could be because of faith, but another really like big difference also could be like the relationship that's actually at home. So it's like if I have, for example, a good communication, with my parents. So if it's stuff like that that's kind of pressuring me, like I can go to my parents and be like, okay, it just works out for me that I can sing, I can translate, but so I have that, that communication. And I feel like if the communication isn't there, then it just magnifies whatever is said on the outside. Like it just becomes intense. Whereas if you and your father or whoever, like you've spoken about it, you've agreed with it at home, that okay, whatever people are saying, that's what they're saying. But at home, I already have this open discussion. So
I think that's really important to have.
Yeah.
And it's definitely like I will actually commend my dad, because he's a great pastor and he's also a great dad. He's made me, especially since I've grown in my faith, we're so like, I don't know, there's like, we just get each other now.
Yeah.
And it's like he gets me and I get him. And it's like when I need to take a break or something, he understands. He's like, listen, we're all people.
Yeah.
Sometimes spiritually, you just need to take a step back, do whatever, this is that. So it is actually important to have that like form of communication at home. And then when we come here, it's not like we're pretending, but it's actually who we are.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? Like we're practicing what is being preached up on the altar. So
because nothing is like like no one's obviously perfect. Like I would agree with you as well. Like my dad is definitely great. Like we do have like a great communication, and also like he's great. Like I see him as my mentor. Like he like some of the stuff like, because being a pastor is not easy. Yeah. And when you see
you get so compassionate for them.
Yeah.
Like I feel like, especially growing up, I keep saying this growing up because it hit a stage where I really grew up and things started making sense. But like I remember seeing my dad just operating in the role of a pastor, and it's not just on Sundays. It's an everyday thing. And they're not just taking care of like us at home, but it's like you're taking care of like God's people.
Yeah.
That is not an easy job, like at all.
It's not.
And like I just try to make my dad's life as easy as I possibly can at home.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely more just compassionate towards him, because Jesus, like it's really a calling, because if you weren't called to do that, eventually you're gonna stop.
Yeah, you're gonna give up.
You're gonna just be like, I can't do this anymore. Like my dad is so passionate about what he does, and he genuinely just loves it. It's never like he never gets sick of like people calling him. This is that. He just like, he'll do what he needs to do, get it done.
Yeah.
But I've never actually heard him like complain or like be like, I'm sick of this is that. But he's like, every single time it even gets hard, he's like, this is what God has called me to do.
Yeah.
And he goes off of that. And I'm like, that's so refreshing to see. Like, it actually is.
No, like being a pastor, like that's one thing as well. Like sometimes we're like both sides need help. Like obviously the pastor's kid, obviously they go through it, but like the pastor themselves, they could go through a lot and they actually need support. They need like, they need support, really.
Yeah, they do.
With everything that they do.
I think it's definitely like overlooked most of the time.
Yeah. Because you just expect them to be, okay, like I expect my pastor to always be like, you know, like, 10 out of 10, like happy or like everything. But like they're human too. And then obviously they've got work as well. Like
I think it's easier for us to say because we see them at home. Like we see them operate in the two roles. Whereas other people just know I'm like, that's our pastor.
Yeah.
They don't see the ins and outs of like the Monday to Sunday. And it's like, I see it all.
But that's what makes it hard as well. Because the fact that you see everything, I think that's one thing as well sometimes that I have to, like one of the views that I have, I know like, okay, church is church and like home is home as well. So it's like, sometimes don't internalize too much, you know, what is going on in church. Yeah. Like if, for example, just say like something maybe happened in church that's not too great or whatever, like, or just say, okay, we have to like pay for this. And, you know, like kind of church problems. Like if you internalize it too much, like it's just gonna, you know, destroy you. At the same time, you must know, okay, like, you know, I look at my father, but we also know that we have an earthly father who's taking care of the both of us. So I know that, okay, God is going to provide for his church. Like my father is going to do the best that he can do, but the rest is up to God. So the pastor shouldn't internalize too much of
I feel like, I get what you mean.
And neither should you, because, you know, okay, like at the end of the day, like, you know, obviously I have my earthly father, but I know that my heavenly father will take care of my earthly father too. So
exactly.
Just not to.
That's so beautiful. I love that. Another thing I wanted to talk about is like the pros of being a pastor's kid. I was just gonna say, like, the one thing I love about being a pastor's kid, we get the best seats at events, weddings, concerts. It's like if I don't walk in with my dad, I hate it, because daddy always leaves the car. He drops the key and walks away. And I'm trying to run behind him so I can get the best seats. Because when I walk in later, everyone just sticks me in the back. But like when I come in at a wedding or something, they're like, oh, I'm going to bus there. No problem, we'll get you a seat. And then they're making room for me. And I'm just like, VIP.
I think this is the worst. It's a pro, but it's the worst thing where it's like, everybody knows that you're a pastor's kid.
The attention.
Until it's like you're trying to get inside like the wedding hall. They're like, who are you? I'm like, okay, now you don't know. Now you don't know I'm a pastor's kid. You know? just now.
Oh my days. But, and even like the people you meet, I've met a lot of people because my dad is a pastor. Like all kinds of people, all sorts of people. And I just think this is amazing because people I probably would have never expected to meet, I've met them. The one thing I hate, though, is unexpected guests at the house. I know that's probably a thing everybody has anyways, but like one day I just wake up, you're chilling, mom comes in, Pastor Tel, I'm like, of course he is. They're coming with the kids. Like, it's always like the visits because the pastors love visiting each other. They love it. But they always do it like, they're like, today I'm going to visit someone. You couldn't have told me last week, so like I can be prepped. I hate it. And then like the whole house is just like, we used to make food and then they come in. Your whole day is like accommodating to them. I don't mind it. Listen, I don't mind it, but like I wish it would happen less. But since COVID happened, like no one's coming to our house, so I'm good. We can keep it that way. I like it like that. Do you not have unexpected guests?
No, not really. Because the thing is, like, we're all working, so it's like if you come in, like you could be knocking for 8 to 6. There's
ain't nobody home. So ain't nobody home.
Yeah, so they know, like, like my daughter works, like I'm working, like my sister works, so it's like they would generally people would definitely swing by because there's 50% chance that he's not there, especially because he's a pastor as well, so he might actually be on a pastoral visit to like a specific, you know, maybe family or something, or maybe he's in church. So it's kind of like, you'd want to call. Save your petrol.
I got what you mean.
And call it.
Imagine, I can actually see so many people knocking at the door and there's nobody home. Imagine the amount of times people have done that,
Yeah.
and we just never would have known. But yeah, I don't really know what else. What else do you want to like touch off of when it comes to that topic?
Yeah, well, because you're saying pros. So for me, I think the pros, I wouldn't say really like getting to know different people. I feel like I've the like, because I'm in the choir as well. Like, so when you sing out from time to
Yeah.
time, that's I feel like that's the way that I have actually gotten to know a lot of
Okay.
people,
Yeah.
not really with like my
Your father.
dad. Yeah.
Okay.
But I think definitely a pro is just one thing that I've realized is like it's a spiritual blessing. Like,
Oh,
you know, you have
100%.
like you have somebody that is doing the work of God. So obviously they're being blessed. Like God
Yeah.
sees the work that they're doing, but
Yeah.
as they're blessing them, obviously because you're their actual child.
Yeah.
So
The blessing
the
is just
blessing
passing down
is
onto
on
you.
you. So you have someone who's prayerful, who's praying
Yeah.
over you,
Yeah.
he's praying over his kids, he's praying over his wife.
And not that,
Yeah.
just in case people are like, oh, so does that mean that we don't have that? Not to say that like everybody else doesn't have that,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like obviously that calling is a different type of anointing, if you
Yeah,
get what I mean.
definitely, yeah.
It takes it like, it's a special calling. So even being under that, it's
Yeah.
like you recognize, you acknowledge that this is amazing.
Yeah.
And God doesn't make mistakes. I think I had to teach myself that a lot, because there was a stage where I was like, do I really want to be a pastor's kid? As if I had a choice. Like, where
Yeah,
am
you
I
don't
going?
have a
Do I
choice.
want to be a pastor's kid? Where am I going?
Yeah.
But I was just kind of like, I don't think this life is for me. And then I was like, Astre, why are you looking at it so negative? Because
Yeah.
within the home, it's because you keep focusing on the outside. But on the inside, everything is actually fine.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like it's easier to focus on the negative because there's more to say. Like you can complain and then this is that. But like when you actually look at it, it's like, this is one of the best things that could have probably ever happened to me. Like you've got a pastor right at home.
Yeah.
Like right there at your door, like right there. That's such a blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about perspective, really. How do you see it? So
Yeah.
if you choose to see it as a negative thing,
it's
then
gonna
it
stay
will
that
be
way.
negative. Yeah. But if you choose to see it as a positive thing, then it will be that way. I feel like for me, because obviously I'm talking in a more like spiritual kind of
Yeah.
context. So I feel like sometimes it is the work of the enemy, because it's like, you know, like it's because like if you see it in a bad way, obviously it's affecting you.
Yeah.
It's affecting your own faith, first of all, because then you begin to doubt who you are. You feel like, oh, okay, like, is this all I am as a title? And then that affects you, but then it also affects like your parent who's like trying to do the best in what God is calling them to be, but then because of the fact that you're viewing it in a negative way, you're kind of almost like you're not like encouraging them or boosting them, you know, because they have a time as well when they need to be encouraged.
Need to be held up,
But because of the fact that, you know, you view it in a bad way or have a bad outlook,
you see such a weight on your shoulders.
Yeah, so you're not gonna really like encourage them. And I feel like it's so like God, the way He's designed is for all of us to be in families, and families is supposed to, you know, be united and help one another, so that obviously, if, just say for example, you're coming from a long day from work or whatever, it's your family that you need to find that like encouragement or a time of laughter or whatnot. So the family is so important. It's so important, and it's just like,
that's actually so powerful what you said. I didn't deep it. It's actually a mind thing, and I never looked at it as like it could be the enemy.
Yeah,
because like sometimes I feel like the enemy is like right in front of us and we just don't see it, because it's just, you're just like, he wouldn't bother with the small things. But it starts with just like the little thought of like, why am I pastor's kid? And just like that, your brain just goes mad on it.
Because I felt it as well one time, where it was kind of like a voice saying like, oh, like it's like they're just trying to manipulate. They're just trying to control you. Like they're controlling you for school. They're controlling you for everything. And now they're using religion
to hold you down,
manipulate your mind, so that you're their robot to do. And I was like, I'm not gonna be a robot. Like, I'm nobody's robot. And then I was like, but then, so that was and it was like a choice. Like either, if I took that in, like I would,
if you let that feed you,
I probably wouldn't be inviting me here today. I'd be a different person. But the fact that, no, I chose to reject that and say, do you know what, like, I want to know Christ from a personal point of view. Because I know that it's not my dad's faith or my parents' faith. It's going to get me to heaven. It's my own faith. So when you have that discovery for yourself, then things become more clear. Yeah. And then you won't obviously view it as a negative.
You see it as a blessing. And I think that's like such a threat to the enemy.
But there definitely are cons, like as in always being the last one to leave.
There are. Have you ever like
they're looking out because they know. I remember one time it was like I think it was intercession.
Yeah.
So that takes ages to leave.
Yeah.
And I was just there like making sure like all this stuff was like shut, like the sound system. And I was just reminding everybody like we're leaving.
That's such a con as well. Yeah. Like at the thing is at the parties and stuff, you never stay long. Yeah. But at like the prayers and stuff.
The parties, oh my God. It's like when you're with the pastor and just say you're at the wedding and then they want to play like royalty music.
That's it.
They're looking at you. When are you leaving?
This is how I know. This is how I know we're leaving. You just hear the keys jingle, and then Daddy's like, "Look in it." I'm like, and everyone's like, "That's you leaving already?" And I was like, "Why are you shook? It happens every time, every party. This is us. We're in the car."
So that's why we have 2 cars. We have 2 cars. If he's gonna go, he's like, "Okay, bye."
Bye.
But
I need to start.
That's the one. That's the funny one.
Yeah.
Because it's like pastors embrace it. Like obviously, if it's a wedding and then you want to play like non-worldly music, because I know. Like I'm aware, like obviously everyone has different faiths or not, but like we're talking about Christianity here. So for some, couples, it's like they want to play their other music, songs, and it's like they want to respect the pastor and they don't want to play in front of him.
But I think it's also respect of the pastor that they leave, because they're like, at the end of the day, I'm not going to block you from doing what you want to do that makes you happy. So I'm just going to remove myself.
Yeah. So they're kind of kindly like looking at the time and smiling like, pastor.
And they hear the one song and it's
tomorrow. Like, are you not going to prefer that preaching, no?
I'm so dead.
So then the pastor is like, oh yeah, I'm going. Like there's a lot of times where my dad
always see the It's so funny.
Do you know the pastors walk when they walk? My mom was telling my dad, like, why do you walk like that? Like, if you're late and then the pastors have such a humble.
I know.
My mom's like in Lingala, there's like, like there's nothing.
It's the crouch. The thing is, it's the crouch for me. Yeah. Like they do this as if it hides you completely. I'm like,
no, we can see you. The lights are all there. They're still on.
I'm so dead. That's so true. Do you ever get when your dad walks into the thingy as well? What's it called? The service. Like if he's a guest or something and he sits down and you just see the whole. And I'm like, and I hate when my mom gets me to go ask him for the key and he's sitting at the front with the pastors.
Oh yeah, I hate
especially when I was younger. That was so common. It's like, oh, Kiniko's of Angola. And I'm like, because there's the row pastors, they're all praying, everyone's on their knees, and then I'm like, I'm tapping him and he's looking at me like this now and he's like, I was out here trying to pray. You're just ruining everything.
Another con as well, like it depends if it's weddings.
Yeah.
And obviously like if you want the best food or whatnot, go to the pastor's side because they serve them nice.
First table.
They serve them nice.
Yeah.
But like there's some things where it's just a con, like if you say like it's a Christian concert or whatnot, I remember the pastor were like, oh yeah, you can go to your dad in the front. I'm like, I don't want to sit with my dad. I don't want to sit my dad with the front because, like, if I dance here, like all the pastors, they're all so like, reserved, and I'm just like,
they have their robot moves.
Like you don't want to. It's like, you don't want
like
me to be
there. Pastor comes with like choreography or something.
Yeah.
Do you ever see it? Pastors have moves like that pastor just does. It's so funny. Such a sanctified dance or something. I know the whole. They always dance like that as well. My dad always has this dance. I'm like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing now.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. And then when they get happy, you see the leg rise up a tiny bit. I'm like,
it's coming.
It's coming. And then they reserve back. And the funny thing is they always look back at the congregation. And everyone's like...
Because they're so self-conscious themselves as well. Like, they don't want to... you wouldn't really see the pastor be like...
I've never seen my dad cut loose. Like, I've never seen my dad like full on like, this is hard dancing. I've just always seen the kind of... And then he's like, oh, no, it's too much. And then
he's like, let me just go back to one step or two steps.
Oh, please. Basically, like, have you ever felt like your dad put the church over you, like before you or your family?
Yeah, I have.
Straight up.
I have, yeah. Not all the time, but
But there's been
sometimes it's
seasons.
like, yeah.
I'm
It's
not-
like, Dad, you know, can I have this? Oh, I don't have money. Oh, the church wants to, you know, do this. I'll donate. And I'm like, excuse me, like, I asked you like yesterday.
Yeah.
And you're like, I have no money. But
Yeah.
yeah, no. So, sometimes, yeah. I think because they're so passionate of what
Yeah,
they do.
are.
Sometimes they do kind of get carried away. Like,
Yeah.
it's so like church, and I'm just like, no.
Hey, remember me?
Yeah, but I think for me, yeah, like it's not really all the time.
I think for me, it's never been like a huge, like, I felt neglected. Because I know a lot of pastors' kids. I've spoken to a few, and they've really felt like, my dad just doesn't pay attention to us. It's all about church all the time. But I feel like my dad has found a good balance in being there for us and being there for the church.
Yeah, no, my dad as well, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think it depends on the mindset as well. Like, yeah.
Like their mindset, is it?
Like I think like age as well in mindset. So like if you're younger, obviously you want your dad to always be there, you know.
Foot, yeah.
But then obviously when you're older, like if they're like, oh, okay, I have to go out. I'm like, yeah, bye.
Go ahead.
Like, yeah, I already ordered my stuff, like whatever. Like I'm about to watch my film or whatever. So yeah, you can go. So, but no, I think sometimes I have felt like, okay, you know, I get that you're passionate, but you know.
Yeah, I gotcha.
We're here.
Like, remember us.
Yeah.
I always say that.
But not all the times. Yeah, he definitely has that balance.
Yeah. And I feel like because we all have our own lives now, like we're fine.
But I would say this question though would be more interesting to talk to like the pastor's wife than the kids.
Oh,
like,
I've listen,
that's a different
mommy, I'm calling you out. I've been trying to get my mom on. I was like, please. And she's like, nope, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
That would
like
be
my mom
great.
supports me like head on, but like she's just like, I'm so sorry, Astre, you're not gonna get me. Maybe one day I'll find a pastor's wife who's willing to come on, because I would love to have that conversation. I think that's probably, after being a pastor, that's probably one of the hardest jobs, just because I see a face front. I live it at home. And that's why anytime anyone's always like, oh, Esther, would you ever marry a pastor? I'm like, if that's God's will for me.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't say no, because, listen, it's a privilege. But Jesus, that job is not easy. And people really undermine them. They do a lot behind the scenes. And I'm not going to talk too much. I ain't going to talk too much, but
off camera.
I hate you. But is that everything?
Yeah.
Wesh. Huh? Okay. Yeah. So guys, that was my episode Astre. I actually loved you on the show. I felt like we talked for like 20. How long were we talking for?
40 minutes. Oh, really?
40?
It felt like 10.
It actually felt like 20 minutes or something.
Stop.
Oh, that's how you know it's a good conversation.
Yeah.
Do you want to shout out anybody? You know, I don't know. Do you want to like say hello to the people? You know, I don't know.
No. No.
She was like, no.
No, I would. Well, yeah, just shout out like Divine Power Church, GPC. Shout out Alfie, because Alfie was like, I want my shout out.
Oh, really? Yeah.
That'll be €2.50. I'm just joking.
I'll walk out my bag out here. She like wrote me my money.
Yeah, wrote me. Well, also, I guess we're talking about like, you know, pastors. So shout out to my dad. Shout out to all the pastors there.
Yeah, shout out to all the pastors.
God bless you. And and you who's watching this as well. Shout out to you.
Oh, she's so sweet, guys.
And everyone else that I forgot, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
But yeah, that was today's episode, guys. Before we end, this is what I was talking to you about before. I have a catchphrase that I say in my show. Guys, I'm not filming anymore because nobody, Ghana, you know the catchphrase, don't you? At the end of the show, guys, from today on, I'm not filming anymore. I'm not doing this. I think this is the third time. You don't know my catchphrase at the end. I don't think this catchphrase is not gonna win. It's like I say at the end of every single episode before I leave, I'm like, you know how we do.
Yeah, but that's...
You know how you're meant to finish it. We just here to have a conversation with you.
Oh.
Look, everyone's like, oh. Yeah, we just here to have a conversation with you. But yeah, you just say we just here to have a conversation with you. So I just say, yeah. Yeah, guys, so this was today's episode. If you like the video...
You know how we do.
Yeah, pardon.
Here to have a conversation with you. Woo! Did I redeem myself?
I'm so dead. Oh my God. But yeah, guys, this is my lovely guest today, Astre. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
If you like the video, guys, make sure to like it, to comment. Please comment, guys. But yeah, guys, comment underneath. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share this video with a friend or two or more. I don't know. Maybe they'll like to hear me and Astre talk. And yeah, check out my other videos and see if you like me. You know how we do. We just here to...
We're just here to have a conversation with you. I don't know, I just blanked out.
No, you're okay. Okay, so guys, you know how we do. We're just here to have a
conversation. Okay, you gotta do that. Again. Okay, take 55.
Yeah, guys, you know how we do. We're just here to have a conversation with you. Bye, guys. Oh my days. I'm so dead.
I'm actually sorry.
I'm so dead.
Kid. I've actually just bathed child of Jesus Christ.
One of my things.
Yeah. I'm God's child first.
Yeah, it's my identity.
Before anything.
Yeah.
I am a child of God.
Hallelujah.
Like, so guys, this is backstage of conversations. We got Benita helping me zombie. We've got Benita, we've got Grace, we've got Gana, she's up there, she camera shy. But yeah, we're about to get started. Period.
Started conversations if you miss out.